Hi, my name is Mitzi Holland, and I'm the director of the Kentucky Advising Academy. And I'm here today to share with you some information about a new resource that will support you in advising students in their college and career journey. The Kentucky Postsecondary Advising Scope and Sequence was designed to help support teachers to provide consistent advising for all students in grades 6 through 12. It is aligned to the ILP and to career study standards and is a product of the Kentucky Advising Postsecondary Advising Framework. We all know that advising is important. Data shows that students who receive intentional, systemic, and holistic postsecondary advising are more successful. Oftentimes, they develop a college-going identity by as early as 10th grade. They earn better grades and set higher post-secondary education goals. Students who receive intentional advising are significantly more likely to graduate high school, apply to college, but also to be admitted and enroll. And also, they have higher rates of college success and degree attainment. As you're aware, Kentucky has an abundance of resources when it comes to supporting students in advising. We have the Kentucky Advising Academy Toolkit that serves as a hub of many of these resources. Gear Up Kentucky has wonderful resources, as does KIA and the Kentucky Department of Education. We also have Futurity, the college and career exploration platform. And while having all of these resources are great, there's still a missing piece in providing that intentionally aligned experience of advising. And that's where the scope and sequence comes into play. The Kentucky Post-Secondary Advising Scope and Sequence is aligned from grades 6 through 12. It is broken into two parts: the middle school, which focuses on grades 6 through 8, and high school, which is 9 through 12. I'm going to show you the middle school scope and sequence now and walk you through some of the key features. Again, it is 6th through 8th, and 6th grade is more about exploration, 7th grade about preparation, and 8th grade about application. Again, this scope and sequence is designed to help educators guide students on their college and career journey. It can serve as a starting point to deliver high-quality advising that incorporates ILP requirements, that is connected to academic standards for career studies, and is also a part of the advising framework. As you work through the scope and sequence, you will notice that there are 4 key focus areas: career exploration, post-secondary opportunities, financial literacy, and essential skills. And there are symbols to denote each of those categories throughout. There's information on how to use the scope and sequence. There is a monthly advising focus method and then a grade level method, and I will explain each of those here in just a moment. If you focus on using the monthly advising focus, essentially each month would have a theme. All students in grades 6 through 8 would participate in that theme. Again, career explorations, post-secondary opportunities, financial literacy, and essential skills. For example, September would be about self-discovery. Students would take or revisit a career interest survey to gauge their personality traits, their interests, and their values. Another example would be dollars and cents December, and that would be all about financial literacy, concepts, vocabulary, budgeting, etc. If you will notice, each month has an icon with a grade in that icon. This is a direct link to a lesson plan that supports that theme. You can see that there is a very detailed lesson plan that includes the career study standards, objectives, guiding questions, and a timeline. These lessons are developed around 45 minutes but can be easily broken into, let's say, 20-minute sections if you are working with a 20-minute advisory period. There's always a lesson overview, an agenda with learning experiences, and if there are handouts or anything that need to be included, they are linked directly into the lesson plan. There are also extension activities that can be used. These are still in draft form, so that's why you notice some of those comments. I will point out that not every month will have a full lesson plan. Right now, there is one lesson plan for each grade level for each category. Plus, there is an interest inventory lesson plan. So each grade level would have 5 lesson plans. If there is not a full lesson plan to address the monthly theme, there would be an extension icon here that would take you to an extension lesson that would support that theme and the original full lesson plan. If you do not prefer the monthly focus, there is also a grade level focus. This would allow you to approach it by grade level. Each matrix or grade level matrix has an outcome, guiding questions, your objectives, the learning experiences, and evidence of learning. More often than not, the evidence of learning is tied directly to updating a student's ILP. In the month column, you will find the link to that full lesson plan again. Again, you have 7th grade and 8th grade. And I will note that 8th grade has a special section that is dedicated to transition planning. So we identify some of the transition activities that 8th grade students need to have access or exposure to. For example, touring area technology centers and exploring available CTE pathways, talking with a high school counselor, getting information about dual credit, keys, GPA. And then there's also an appendix section that talks about how this advising system might look through the lens of various stakeholders within your building. For example, if you're an administrator and you're concerned with a school-wide culture, this is what it could look like if you implement the scope and sequence from a school counselor's lens, from a core or elective teacher's lens, and then finally from a career and technical educator's lens. We also have links to additional resources such as the Advising Framework, Kentucky's glossary of terms associated with post-secondary advising, the Career Study Standards Futurity, and lessons from the Kentucky Department of Education. The high school scope and sequence is aligned very much like the middle school scope and sequence. It is broken down into 9th and 10th grade, which is about investigating and connecting, and then 11th and 12th grade, which is more about deciding and acting. Again, you will see information on how to use the scope and sequence, and rather than having a monthly focus, the high school is a quarterly focus, with the first quarter being focused on career exploration, the second on post-secondary opportunities, the third financial literacy, and the fourth essential skills. Again, you will notice that there are links to lesson plans in each of those quarters. If you would prefer, you can use the grade level matrix approach, and it works just the same way as the middle school. You have links to the lesson plans, you have your objectives, your experiences, and your evidence of learning. Again, this is draft stage, but the final scope and sequence will be available late April, early May. Again, you have your appendix section and your additional resources. So all of this information is great, but we talk about updating the ILP and making this a meaningful experience for students. What if you don't have a way to collect ILP information? We've got that covered too. So this is an example of an ILP template or an ILP collection template that can be used. The first tab just gives you an overview of all of the tabs and talks about the importance of the individual learning plan. We really want students to understand that ILP is not about compliance, but it is about creating a meaningful college and career journey that the students own. They make the decisions, they do the research, they collect the information, and this template can be a housing place for that information that students can own and update as needed. The first tab is the graduation course plan. Now, at every tab, there's a place for students to identify their name, their career interest, their counselor, their pathway, etc. But this particular tab gives students an opportunity to first include any middle school courses that might count toward high school credit, but more importantly, plan out their high school course journey. So they can go in ninth grade and fill in all the courses that they plan to take through 12th grade. There's a credit tracker that keeps up with graduation requirements, and this gives them a snapshot of what they need to do. They can change it at any time. It's easily editable, and it gives them an opportunity to keep track of dual credit, AP, IB courses. The beauty of this particular template is that if we share it to you as a counselor, you can make a copy and then modify it to your school's needs. So if there's specific information that you want included for every student, you can include that. Throughout the ILP template, you will notice little heads up sections, and this is just an informational bullet that talks about the importance of whatever it is referencing. In this case, it's about ACT and SAT, and there's a space for students to update their scores. The Career Exploration and Financial Literacy tab lets students keep track of activities related to career exploration and financial literacy. Have they researched colleges? Did they do that in 6th grade? Did they do it 7th, 8th, all the way through 12th? It also gives them a space to identify whether or not they enjoyed, or they completed the activity, whether it's in progress or if they need help. There's also a space for them to type any notes and upload or link to any document that is relevant to that particular activity. The Post-Secondary Opportunities Tracker gives them an opportunity to keep track, of dual credit, which core education, gen ed core, that dual credit is relevant to, and the institution where the course was taken. There's also a section for CTE post-secondary opportunities that we're currently working on, but that would be also a way for students to keep track of dual credit, industry certs, EOPs as it relates to career and technical education. There's also space for advanced placement and IB courses. Another tab that's important is clubs and organizations, and this gives students a chance to keep track of all the years that they're involved in certain clubs, organizations, and activities. It gives them space to identify skills that they've gained, as well as special recognition or offices held. Again, we all know that this is very important when it comes to completing resumes and college applications later on. And oftentimes students think they can remember all this stuff, but this gives them an opportunity to be sure that they don't forget anything that's important. The fourth tab is community service. Very simple to see what is involved here. You keep track of the date, the event, the hours, your responsibilities. Again, if you have to have a signature sheet, you can upload it here, and then obviously your supervisor's name. A heads up, supervisors can be helpful when you're building out your network because they can mentor you throughout your education journey. So we'll talk about more about talk more about the network in tab 6. There is also a work experience tab, and that gives students an opportunity to keep track of their work experience, both paid and volunteer, because we know especially in middle school students may not have a paid job, but they may be volunteering, and that's just as important. It gives them an opportunity to note whether that's part of a work-based learning experience, again, job responsibilities, and related documents. And finally, tab 6 is probably my favorite tab. That is the social capital or network tab. And this gives students a chance to keep track of folks that can support them in their college and career journey. So in middle school, that may be friends, teachers, church members, etc. But as they progress from 6th grade to 12th grade, their network should expand and become more robust and should include admissions counselors, other folks from the post-secondary institutions, potential employers, contacts within the industry or career field that they're interested in. As they build out their network, they have an opportunity to identify how that person is related to their interest, how that person can help them in their journey, what networking skills they practiced, and then again, they can upload any related documents. Now, I know that I've shared a lot of information with you, and I failed to mention the very first thing is that all of these resources are free. And whether or not you have a platform like Zello or Naviance or anything like that that you use to complete your ILP, these tools can be used to supplement that particular process. This is important because a structured advising system provides all students with the opportunity to explore and experience career options. It also provides all students with an opportunity to intentionally plan their post-secondary journey. Schools that utilize the scope and sequence can support students in consistent advising, and this could in turn develop a school-wide advising culture. Schools that use the post-secondary advising scope and sequence have a better chance to have graduates who are prepared to make informed decisions about their future. There will be a stronger alignment between K-12 workforce needs and post-secondary education, and students have the opportunity to have a meaningful ILP experience, one that is student-centered and not just a compliance piece. If you would like more information about the advising scope and sequence, we are offering additional workshops at the education co-ops throughout the state. If you visit the toolkit, cpe.ky.gov/advisingky-toolkit, you can register for a workshop near you. We are also hosting a webinar on May 12th at 9 a.m. Central Time that will be dedicated to the scope and sequence. If you have not registered for our webinar series, you can do so by scanning the QR code on the screen. And finally, if you will be joining the CTE Summer Conference in July, we will be there and we will have a session around the scope and sequence and ILP completion. If you are interested in sharing this information with your leadership team for the 26-27 implementation, I urge you to consider these 3 things. What are your next steps? Who are the decision makers that you need to talk to? And when and where do these conversations need to take place? Think about those things and then join us for one of our workshops at an ed co-op near you. If at any time you have questions or want more information, please reach out to myself or Susie Burkhart. We are certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have. We look forward to seeing you at a workshop soon. Thank you.